So today, we're going to dive into the incredible story of Julian Mantle. This is a guy who, by all accounts, had everything anyone could ever want. And then he just walked away from it all. It's a powerful story, a fable really, about what it takes to completely transform your life. You know, this quote from George Bernard Shaw really hits the nail on the head for this story. It's not just about getting by, not just about existing. It's about living a life that is a blazing torch, full of energy, full of purpose. And that's the exact quest our main character, Julian Mantle, is about to find himself on. Okay, so first, let's get to know the man at the center of all this, Julian Mantle. In the legal world, this guy was an absolute titan, a true superstar. If you had Julian Mantle as your lawyer, you were pretty much guaranteed to win. He was at the absolute peak of his game. But here's where the story gets really interesting. Look at this. There was this huge disconnect in his life. On the outside, total success. We're talking a seven-figure salary, a mansion, a private jet, the whole 9 yards. And his pride and joy was this shiny red Ferrari. But inside, it was a totally different story. He was spiritually empty. He was only 53, but he looked like he was well over 70. He lost his joy, his humor. He was just deeply, deeply unhappy. A man basically drowning in his own success. And then, well, the thing that was bound to happen, happened. Right there in the middle of a packed courtroom, the very place he was most famous, Julian's body just quit on him. He had a massive heart attack and collapsed right on the floor. It was the ultimate wake-up call, the kind you just can't ignore. His lifestyle wasn't just unhealthy, it was literally killing him. So that heart attack, as terrifying as it was, became the trigger for a massive change. Julian knew he had a choice. He could either keep going down this path and end up in an early grave, or he could just blow it all up and find a totally new way to live. This is where the journey really begins. And he chose to blow it all up. And I mean, he went all in. He didn't just retire. He completely dismantled his old life. He quit practicing law. He sold the mansion. He sold the private jet. He even sold his private tropical island. And in the biggest symbolic move of all, he sold that prized red Ferrari, the very symbol of the life that nearly cost him everything. After selling off every piece of his old life, Julian just vanished. He packed up and headed to India on what he called a personal odyssey. He was looking for answers, the big questions that you can't find in a fancy office or a courtroom. He was searching for the meaning of it all. And then, nothing. 3 whole years went by. No calls, no letters. Back at his old law firm, he kind of became this ghost story, the legend of Julian Mantle. But then, one afternoon, a visitor shows up at the office, a complete mystery man. Now, this guy, he was something else. He was tall, looked incredibly fit, and he just radiated this amazing sense of calm and energy. You could just feel it coming off of him. He looked like a vibrant, healthy guy in his 30s. I mean, just look at the difference here. It's absolutely staggering. The old Julian, the one everyone remembered, was overweight, his face was a roadmap of stress, his eyes were just lifeless. This new guy, he was the complete opposite. Lean, healthy, a smooth face, and eyes that were sparkling with energy. It was night and day. It just didn't seem possible. And then, after this long, stunned silence, the visitor smiles a familiar smile. And his former colleague can barely get the words out. "Julian, is it really you?" And it was. The man standing in front of him was Julian Mantle, but he was completely, unbelievably reborn. So the million-dollar question is, how? How on earth did this happen? Well, Julian starts to explain. His journey led him deep into India, on a search for a legendary group of sages living way, way up in the Himalayas. And what a journey it was. For 7 months, he wandered all over India, learning what he could. Then, way up in Kashmir, he started hearing these whispers about the great sages of Savannah. So, with nothing more than a hunch to guide him, he hiked for 7 days, all by himself, deep into the dangerous Himalayas. And that's where he finally met him, a sage named Yogi Raman. Julian had found them in this almost mythical place called Savannah, and the name itself tells you everything you need to know. In the ancient language of the sages, it literally means oasis of enlightenment. It was a hidden paradise dedicated to mastering the art of living well. Yogi Raman agreed to teach Julian everything they knew, but there was one catch. a big one. He made Julian promise that once he had learned their secrets, he had to go back to his home in the West and share the wisdom with everyone who was lost, just like he had been. He had to become the messenger. Now, the way these sages taught their wisdom was pretty unusual. They didn't hand Julian a stack of books or make him sit through long lectures. Nope, they condensed their entire philosophy into a single mystical fable. So Yogi Raman tells him this really strange, almost fantastical story. But here's the thing. It wasn't just a children's tale. Hidden inside all the weird imagery were the 7 timeless virtues you need to live a life full of joy, purpose, and enlightenment. And these are the 7 core symbols from that story. You've got a magnificent garden, a towering lighthouse, a giant sumo wrestler, a pink wire cable, a golden stopwatch, fragrant yellow roses, and a winding path of diamonds. It sounds random, I know, but each one is a crucial piece of the puzzle. And that's the key right there. These aren't just random objects in a weird story. Each symbol is a key. It's designed to unlock a powerful ancient principle for mastering every part of your life, your mind, your body, and your soul. So it all leaves you with this one really powerful thought, doesn't it? What if all the secrets to living an absolutely extraordinary life aren't hidden in some dense, complicated philosophy, but they're right there, waiting for us, inside a simple story?